And welcome back to my channel. My name is Rusty. This is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror. And we're going to move on with another little alt zombie flick of mine that I love called The Cured. Love this movie. Now, The Cured was released in 2017, and it was directed by David Freyne, it was written by David Freyne, and it stars Ellen Page at the time, Sam Keeley, and Tom Vaughan-Lawlor. Now, this movie is set in Ireland, and Ireland has been devastated by the maize virus, is what this one was. And tens of thousands of people, 10,000 people, were infected by this outbreak of this virus. And they are very fast and 28 days later type of zombies. However, there's a little bit of difference. At this time, this zombie outbreak has been gotten under control. Okay. So a doctor, so it's not at the beginning, it's like after the outbreak. So a doctor has actually discovered a partial cure. Now, this cure works 75% of the time. So when they have managed to find all of the infected, right, and they have all of the infected in quarantine centers, and this drug, this medication that has been discovered by this doctor, she managed to find the cure. However, it only works 75% of the time. That means that 25% of the infected, the 25%, remain infected while she is working on her best to try to stop it. However, because so much time has went by, right, they have started, they of course did all of the checks, right? I mean, once you, if you respond, if you are a Zed and you are captured and you respond to the cure, you are cured. You cannot transmit it. You cannot relapse. There isn't anything that can be done to you, except, of course, you could be reinfected. But it's not going to happen because the infected are not going to touch you because you still smell like and feel like one of them, despite the fact that you are cured. Another side effect of the cure is that you remember everything that you did. So now you got turned into a Zed. You did whatever you did, which probably included a lot of butchery. And now you got cured. Granted, you were not in control, but you have to live with the memories of what you did. So it goes without saying that the people that have been cured are not exactly mentally stable, emotionally stable. They have a lot to deal with. So this movie is about Annie and her little son Declan. So Annie has a brother named Sainan. Now Sainan was infected. He was a Zed, and he's in the quarantine camp. And he responded to the cure. So he's been cured. And that's her brother. This one is her brother. Well, actually, both of those are her brother. That's when he was infected, and that's when he is cured. So they have released 2 waves of the cured back into society 25%. So you had this first wave, and then you had this second wave, and now Freyne is fixing to be released in the third wave of the cured, back into society. And they're not really integrating very well, because all you need to know is this. If your neighbor, just think about this, if your neighbor got infected and turned into a Zed and came over and ate your wife in the backyard, or your husband, or your boyfriend, or your child, they were not in control. They were under this zombie virus. They've been caught and cured and are being released back to their family over there. This is still a person who, regardless of the fact that they were turned into a Zed by the maize virus, they still ate your loved one and infected them. And, so, or killed them. Because, some of them they infect and some of them they kill and eat. So, you can pretty much imagine how the cured are being treated. And they can't just hide either. Well, I guess they could, because not everybody goes around looking at each other's eyeballs. But when you've been cured, there's a little red circle underneath your pupil on your eye that will always mark you as having been one of the infected, and now you're cured. So Freyne gets out in the third wave with his friend Connor, whom he's very, very close to. Connor and Freyne get out, and Freyne goes and is being welcomed home by his sister. So he moves in with Declan and his mom, his sister Annie. So, is it Annie? Oh God, I knew I was going to have problems with that. You should never do that. Abby. You've got an actress who's, at the time's name was Ellen, playing an Abby, and it is just always going to confuse you, but I digress. So Abby is letting Freyne move in. I mean, it's her brother. She loves him, right? So, and he has a job at the quarantine center assisting that doctor who made the cure. And Connor, of course, is his friend. He gets out as well. So they are the last of them. Now, you also have the government trying to figure out what to do with the 25%. Because you want to talk about posing a health risk to society. Those 25% of the infected who are locked up in this quarantine center, full-fledged Zeds, if just one of them gets out, you can start an entire new epidemic, right? So the government is now coming to the conclusion that the only thing left to do is euthanize that 25%, which is understandable. You can imagine the protests, and you can imagine the people for it and against it. So it's kind of like a little political situation. And the doctor who made the cure, she is like on this timetable now, right? Because she's trying to figure this out. She wants so badly to cure the other 25%. And you find out a little later in the movie, the reason she is so driven is because one of the 25%, the one that you've noticed that she's been working on the most, testing every new formula of her cure on, is actually her wife. Right? And you don't know that at first. And you're like, that's why she is so driven. And that's, of course, why that particular patient is the one she's like testing every formula on. Trying to do that because that's her fucking wife, right? So she definitely wants to find a cure. Or find the complete cure that can actually cure the other 25% too. Now, meanwhile, you are watching, because Abby's husband was killed by a zombie. So you have all of this tension, all of that. Meanwhile, you have a certain percentage of the cured who are really fucking fed up with the way that the cured are being treated. Because remember, in our little example a while ago, we talked about how would you treat the cured. They're cured now. They can't hurt you. And they're having to live with what they did. But you can imagine the discrimination and the hatred and all. There's protests, there's, they get attacked and beat up and stuff like that. So they're like a extremely discriminated group of people. And some of them are not really happy about that. And Connor is one of them. And so you have this sort of underground V for Vendetta type group that is forming of people who are fed up with being treated the way that they are being treated, despite having to go through what they've gone through, being a Zed and doing the things they did and having to live with it. And now they're being treated like shit and, can't get a job, being always in danger of being, attacked by some little yobs or something that are going to beat you to death for your transgressions. Okay. I don't know what happened. I'm sitting here looking like a zombie myself, right? Because I have no idea. It's like all of a sudden my computer just like freaked out in the middle of me trying to talk. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Something's trying to open media. I've got a zombie virus in me fucking computer, yeah? The fuck? Technical difficulties. And I'm leaving it in. Because that's life. So, where the hell was I? Oh, so you've got all these people who are like really pissed off at being treated like shit. And you have some people taking advantage of that. And it doesn't take you too long before you realize that this Connor guy, he was like an asshole before he became a Zed. He was like stuck up. And so, believe me, I mean, he's from a rich family. And so he's like really stuck up because he's like from a, he's very posh and all. So now being part of this disenfranchised and discriminated against group, this dude isn't like really handling it well, like being the only job that he can get is, because he was like a solicitor, he was like a lawyer. And so he's not very happy with like, having to clean floors and shit like that. It's like he's above that, if you know what I'm saying. So he is really getting gung-ho about this little underground resistance, you might call them, of the cured that's really tired of being treated like shit and him having to clean floors and stuff. So you kind of learn why he's that way as you learn, about him. But he goes to his home, like this rich estate, right? This rich mansion, and talks to his dad, who comes out and sees him standing there. And he like tries to, and you do feel bad for him. He tries to apologize to his dad and stuff and say, I'm very sorry, but I'm cured now and all of that. And his daddy's like, you're a fucking monster. Get a fucking away from me. I don't ever want to see you again. And he's rejected. Now you realize that that's because, he killed his mother. He ate his mother is what he did. So his dad is not exactly thrilled with what he calls now a monster who killed his wife, his own mother. Coming back home wanting sympathy and his dad to give him a job and stuff like that. So I understand the circumstance and the situation, but this is causing him, of course, to really start pushing this group to engage in vengeance, underground activity, like, like bombing and stuff, making public scenes, and doing, I guess, what you would call terrorist type activity. And yeah, so as that continues to go, he starts using he starts using Seinan in the same way. Like, come and join us. Look at how we're being treated. So he starts playing on Seinan's insecurities, because Seinan is very, very guilty about what he had done during this outbreak. So you have him feeling terribly guilty and going through all these nightmares, and having flashbacks and panic attacks and things like that, which, who wouldn't? You know what I'm saying? So you can tell that Connor is using him, but then again, Connor knows a secret about him. And that was that Connor is the one who bit Seinan. Not only was Connor the one that bit Seinan, he attacked their house, and it was Seinan and his brother-in-law, Abby's husband. And Connor is the one who, infected at the time, broke into the house, attacked them, and bit Seinan. And then, after Seinan turned, he directed them, because they have this connection. The infected have this connection like a wolf pack, but it's almost psychic, like the Borg from Star Trek. So, he is the one who got Seinan to then attack and kill his brother-in-law, Abby's husband. Now, she doesn't know that. So he's kind of holding that over Seinan's head to get Seinan to join his little terrorist group or resistance group. And she does end up finding out, because he refused to take part in what's going on. And she is very, very unhappy. And it leads him to end up helping them a little bit, helping Connor and them a little bit, because she throws him out the house. Which, I totally understand. Your brother killed your husband, but what can you do? He was under the influence. But now this whole time you've got that doctor still working furiously trying to, come up with a cure to save the other 25%. And they finally ring the bell, so to speak, and it's like, we're going to start the euthanization. So her timetable is really getting close. Well, even though Seinan has sort of backed off from Connor's little terrorist group, they have come up with a really ugly plan. And that is, they are going to go in there and they are going to release the 25%. And they do. So even though this movie is very emotional, sort of like Maggie, this movie, unlike Maggie, is hard rated R. And at this point in the movie, it turns 28 days later, because when they do break into that facility and they do release the 25%, you really do have a 28-day scenario happen again, and you see it all. Extreme Z violence is present in this movie. Lots of killing, lots of eating. Seinan tries to protect Declan, because, Declan is at school when this happens, when they release them. And so Ireland goes up in flames again with, 100, tens, then hundreds, then thousands of people are instantly attacked, and some are killed and some are infected again. So it all starts again. And there's really good scenes where Seinan is trying to protect Declan, and get him back home. Connor is after them. There's a big showdown between Seynon and Connor. Because you have to remember, the infected, they won't even mess with the cured, because the cured to them smell the same. The cured do not know, the infected do not know that the cured are not infected, if you know what I'm saying. So they're safe, and that's why those resistance people let them go, is because these people have treated us. Here's their logic: these people are treating us like shit because of what happened to us. So we're going to go and let them out and turn the population loose. We're going to start this shit all over again to show you that you shouldn't have treated the cured the way that you have treated them. So deal with it yourself. Very, very vengeful logic there, but I understand it. But still, it's like, but so you have this huge part of the movie that's like really good zombie violence and zombie death and zombie eating and all kinds of zombie stuff. Lots of good fighting and stuff like that. And I'll be damned if it freaked me out, because like during the chase scene or whatever, like he has to it was when he fought Connor, which was an awesome boss battle, if you want to say. He put Declan down and ran, and there were zombies after Declan. This is talking like a little 9-year-old boy. I'll be damned if he doesn't get bit on the leg, and I was like, no, what the fuck? Now, as this is all going on, guess what happens? That fucking lady finally has the right formula, and she realizes that when all of the other Zeds, when they broke into the facility and they let all the other Zeds go, her wife, she saw on the monitor, because they got every single cell was monitored, her wife was still sitting there. She had not came out and left like everyone. She goes down there to her, and she's back. She's cured. That new formula, which is now sitting up there in the lab, worked. So now they can 100% cure this. But of course, they have thousands more zombies on the street, and it's a whole zombie apocalypse happening again. And what was like really fucked up was just about the time that the woman realized her wife was cured, sitting in that cell, she was attacked and eaten by a Zed that was still in there. and her wife had to witness her get eaten. It was fucked up. I was like, that was really rude of you to have her like come up with the cure and die 5 minutes later. So like, what kind of fucking shit is that? But okay. So, you have this new zombie outbreak, and just thousands, and so they have to do the whole damn shit again. But at least now they have the cure, right? However, there are a bunch of zombies out in the, Abby has no idea what happened to Seynon or Declan. So she's all upset about it. They let them back into town. She goes back to her apartment where they lived, to her house where they lived. And she realizes that he has put a map up on the wall, and he has marked coordinates as to where he and Declan are at. Now, Declan, of course, can be cured now, so she starts crying, and that's where the movie ends, because now she knows where to go and find them in all this mess. And I'm sure that Seynon has already taken Declan. I mean, they don't have to show you. Seynon has probably already taken Declan to the doctor and gotten him cured, but she knows where they're at now, and she goes to go be with them again. So this is a fantastic movie, coming at it from a different perspective with the cured and the discrimination against them, and it's new stuff to think about. That's what I meant by these are sort of like alternate zombie movies, and I mean that by these movies seem to give you a little bit more to think about. These two movies seemed to give you a little bit more to think about, aspects that you didn't think of in Dawn of the Dead or, any of the other 28 Days Later or something, because there is no cure in 28 Days Later. So this is new stuff. It's zombies with a little bit of new stuff for you to think about during it. So yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties, and we will be back with another one. I picked out 4, like I said, zombie movies. I've got lots more, but I'm going to, I was like, oh, I want to do this and this and this and this, and I'm like, you also have other stuff you need to do, dude. Next will be your masterpiece spotlight. Then you want to do, some other group. But I don't know. I'm just a zombie freak right now for some reason. But yeah, that was The Cured from 2017. If you have not seen this movie, I would suggest that you do. It's really, really good. And unlike Maggie, which is pretty much 80% emotional drama and 20% jump scares and violence, this is more 50-50, but there's some really neat aspects to it, and you got plenty of blood and gore along with plenty of food for thought. So it's really good. It's The Cured from 2017. If you've seen it, let me know what you think about it as a zombie flick, and I will see you. The next thing I do, always remember and never forget, you're a very special person, even if you haven't been cured. And I will talk to you then. Bye-bye.